Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by Virginia College Savings Plan. Save for tomorrow's higher education expenses with Virginia 529's 4 flexible tax-advantaged college savings plans. Details at virginia529.com. And by the Greater Richmond Chamber Save Low Fares campaign. Richmond is in danger of becoming one of America's most expensive airports again. Flying AirTran, Southwest, and JetBlue supports airline competition. Details at savelowfares.com.
Laying out with a headlong dive. Did he make that catch? It's Laaser. And Laaser with a miraculous catch. Parnell kicks and fires. Swing and a miss. He struck him on with a changeup. And the Squirrels are the champs in the West.
Hello, everyone, and once again, welcome back inside another episode of Flying Squirrels Insider. Anthony Oppermann with you. Flying Squirrels have 2 months of the season almost in the books. And boy, what a great month of May it's been for the Flying Squirrels pitching staff, currently boasting the lowest ERA for the month in the Eastern League. That's been the good news for the team. Unfortunately for Richmond, the injury bug has bit. We'll talk about that with Flying Squirrels broadcaster John Laaser coming up. Also coming up on the show, Flying Squirrels delving into a different aspect of the entertainment industry. Vice President Todd Parnell taking you backstage and behind the scenes with the band Reckless Kelly. They had a concert at the Canal Club recently to help benefit the Miracle League of Richmond, and a couple of special guests in studio as reliever Brett Bochy and starter Justin Fitzgerald join John Laaser for a pitching tutorial. A lot coming up that you're going to want to be sure to catch here on this episode of Flying Squirrels Insider. We've hit the ground running here on another episode of Flying Squirrels Insider. Anthony Oppermann with you. And at this time, I'd like to welcome back in my broadcast partner, John Laaser. And Laaser, for the Flying Squirrels here in the month of May, one thing has definitely stood out, and that has been the performance of this pitching staff. They boast currently the lowest staff ERA for the month in the Eastern League. And two things really helping the Flying Squirrels achieve that. Number one, it seems like the guys in the bullpen are starting to find their roles. And number two, the starting rotation has just been phenomenal.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing you hit on right there, Anthony, right out of the gate is the fact that those roles have been identified in the bullpen. Darryl Madej, who was used in that closer's role in April and did a very nice job at the beginning of the season, I think actually projects more in that long relief and setup role, and now he's flourishing there. Brett Bochy coming up from Augusta, and of course the most inexperienced hurler who will join us here today on Flying Squirrels Insider, just dynamite from opening day, starting the season with 18 consecutive scoreless innings. But the starting rotation we knew was going to be the strength of this ball club, because no one really expected to get Justin Fitzgerald back. He was one of your top starters off a playoff team in 2011. He does return. His last 4 starts have been phenomenal, and as he has blossomed, so has Craig Westcott behind him. Chris Heston, as we're going to get to in just a second here, has been very consistent from the opening gate, and I think Mike Kickham, the lefty at the back end of the rotation, is more advanced command-wise than people thought coming out of spring training. We knew all about his electricity when it comes to his stuff, but his last outing, an indicator of just how high his ceiling is. The rest of this ball club has really followed the lead of the starting pitching.
I want to focus on the two guys you brought up there at the end, Chris Heston and Mike Kickham. And, these are two guys that have definitely been exciting members of this rotation, new members of the rotation this year, and they're going about it in different ways.
Yeah, they definitely are. Chris Heston, a more finished product right now, coming up from San Jose in the California League, a circuit that he dominated last year. You don't lead that circuit in ERA by mistake, and we're starting to see why. He's come into this colder environment over the first couple of months of the season, and he's done the same things. And you love the approach of a Chris Heston because, as he's told us on numerous occasions, you don't change what you do level to level. You don't change what you do hitter to hitter. You stay down, you stay in. He's been able to do that, and it's been that fastball command that set everything else up. What we've talked about a lot over the last couple of weeks is the fact that his stuff is better than I thought. He was billed to me coming into the season as a command-type guy that knew how to pitch. Well, he's a guy that has the stuff to pitch in the strike zone, too, and again, I think he's opened a ton of eyes. Mike Kickham did that last year as well. Probably could have been here at some point, and we're starting to see why, because he gets swings and misses off the fastball in the strike zone, and his stuff has that more electric feel to it. Now, the command isn't necessarily where you're going to want it at higher levels, but it certainly plays in the Eastern League right now, and he's a guy that seems to be getting better and better each and every time he takes the hill.
Scouts are certainly buzzing about the performance of both of those guys. Unfortunately for the Flying Squirrels, as good as the pitching staff has been, the injury bug has hit this club, and it's definitely impacted the team offensively.
You can generally endure 1 or 2 injuries to the middle of your lineup if they're spaced out. They haven't been for the Squirrels. Unfortunately, Wes Hodges just leaving the ball club a couple of days ago to go down to Arizona after he tried to come off the disabled list due to that quad strain. Don't know when Hodges is going to be back in the order. And it's not necessarily that he was feasting at the plate when he leaves, but I think he's that calming influence to everybody. Juan Perez, very hot at the beginning of the season and getting back there, and unfortunately he tweaks an elbow. So right there you lose your 5- and 6-hole hitters. That leaves Chris Dominguez and Johnny Manel fairly exposed in the lineup, and also forces you to put Daniel Mayora, who you'd love to bat 7th, 6th, or 8th, somewhere in that zone. He's been filling the 3-hole. Now, granted, he just had a 9-game hit streak, but at the same time, he's not that prototypical type hitter you want up there, and I think that's forcing Gary Brown to try to do too much at the top of the order. And oh, by the way, you're missing Tommy Joseph out of that 3 spot as well. The good news, Ops, is by the time this airs, hopefully those guys will be back in uniform, and this offense will become solidified again, because we saw there for about a week, when not everybody, but close to everybody was healthy, what this team could do with the sticks.
Well, and the goal, obviously, while you're trying to get everybody healthy, is just to stay around the 500 mark. And the Flying Squirrels have done a phenomenal job at that. Richmond's longest winning streak of the year is 3 games, but the club's longest losing streak of the year is 3 games, and certainly a lot of that attributed to the starting rotation. Now, with that said, there have been some teams that have gotten out of the blocks quickly. We've already talked about Reading and New Britain on previous episodes at length, but the Akron Arrows have really been impressive. They've lost just 1 series to this point this season, and a really unique mix there in Akron.
Yeah, it definitely is, but real quickly on that consistency around 500 for the Squirrels, Ops, I don't think you're ever going to have a time where you lose or you go into a prolonged skid because of the solidity of that starting pitching, because you're not going to get poor outings more than a couple of nights in a row, and you're usually not going to get that. So you're going to be in most ball games. But the Akron Arrows, that's how they're winning right now, too. They're hitting a little bit. Jared Geddert, whom we talked about on the last episode of this show, now just absolutely feasting. The Indians minor league player of the month, hitting close to 400. Tim Federoff, a nice accompaniment to him, but they're coupling that with the starting pitching. It hasn't necessarily been a surprise, though, that when you look at the standings in the Western Division, the younger clubs like the Squirrels finding their way, playing well, inconsistently at times, while Akron loaded with veterans, and those are the type of ball clubs that are going to win from opening day forward.
Flying Squirrels, again, the goal is just to hang around that 500 mark till you get all the pieces in place. And we saw last year this team certainly capable of making a late run, and a lot happens between May and September.
Oh, yeah, and right now, even if you look at the record of the Akron Arrows, you'll take the Squirrels roster because, again, it's all about the ceiling. And, yes, we are almost 2 months into the season, but still, you haven't even gotten past the tip of the iceberg. We know when Tommy Joseph comes back, and, again, that offense gets a little more solidified through the middle, that this team's going to score runs. And as they've already displayed, they can pitch it both in a starting role and in the bullpen. So I think the future is very bright for this ball club. I don't think there's any team that's going to run away, because also what happens with those veteran-laden ball clubs, you need guys to fill at upper levels, and generally they don't stay there the entire season. And also, they slow a little bit as some of that youth gets that experience and is able to exploit the reasons why they're older guys and they're at the AA level. So things will even out. I look for this to be a 3 or 4 team race come July, August, and on into the first week of September.
Last episode here in the month of May, and we are certainly starting to warm up as we approach the summer months. And we're just getting warmed up here on Flying Squirrels Insider. Let's always appreciate the contributions. When we come back, though, Vice President and COO Todd Parnell does what he does best, and that's take the stage and put on a show. He and Reckless Kelly will do that coming up after this.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by Virginia College Savings Plan. Save for tomorrow's higher education expenses with Virginia 529's 4 flexible tax-advantaged college savings plans. Details at virginia529.com. and by the Greater Richmond Chamber Save Low Fares campaign. Richmond is in danger of becoming one of America's most expensive airports again. Flying AirTran, Southwest, and JetBlue supports airline competition. Details at savelowfares.com.
It's pretty neat to see all our players here and our manager Dave McAmere and everybody just coming together and raising money for the Miracle League of Richmond. It's a great band from Austin, Texas, and to get the local flavor of our guys here, it's just wonderful. And to see these guys coming out on their off day makes it even more special. And, they knew we were doing this for the Miracle League, and they came out in big numbers, and I really appreciate it. And these are really good guys, and they do care about the community.
Reckless Kelly's a group that Parney got to know a few years back, and he's become friends with them, and it's for a good cause tonight. A lot of the Squirrels here, some fans are here. We're having a good time. Richmond's such a great place to be, and they support us so much over to the ballpark, and we don't get a chance to do many things like this where we get a chance to get out and do other things, and to come out here tonight and get, mix in with some music people and have a good time and meet some other fans that come out and kind of a cross, like you said, cross-pollination of people. It's a lot of fun. The last time I sang on stage, it was with a group called The Outsiders, and that was before your time. We led off for them, and I was playing in a group called the Storybook Crew, and that was in 1964.
Willie Braun, first base. Just kidding. I'm the lead singer. We're all huge baseball fans, and we're actually just starting to get to meet some of these guys, and hopefully some of them will stick around tonight and we'll get to hang out a little bit.
Word is the manager it plays.
Reckless Kelly, woo!
Is a singer and guitarist. If he wanted to jump up for a song, would you let him?
We're gonna have to get an audition first.
You like that?
Oh, yeah. Never got to sign a jersey before.
Did you guys sign that?
Yeah, we're gonna shadow box it and put it on the bus.
Cool.
Hey, Gold! Oh, yeah. Hey, Gold! Is that you? Hey, Gold! Is that you?
This is Jay.
How you doing?
Jay's the drummer.
Welcome aboard.
He wears the Squirrels hat all the time because he likes the Squirrels, which is a good thing.
Be wearing it tonight.
I was drinking Cali Mochos. Parney walks in with Lou, one of their owners, and they're talking baseball, and Willie and I are sitting there kind of overhearing some of the conversation, and we kind of piped in, butted in, eavesdropping, and found out that we had a lot of the same friends. JJ Gotch and Reed and Reese Ryan from the Round Rock Express.
We always say, like, baseball guys want to be musicians, and musicians want to be baseball guys.
Yeah.
Right? Is that right, Will?
We have real similar schedules and a lot of similarities in the jobs. We have always on the road, working year-round pretty much, a few days off here and there. But
how many shows are you guys doing this year?
We do probably between 170 and 200.
Yeah, so I mean it's the same. And baseball guys, we play 142 games. Fortunately, because of what I do, I couldn't play, so I work in the front office. I only have to work 71 of those, so it's not that bad.
Well, but you guys are always got to be working out and keeping keeping in shape and.
Yeah, I'm spending a lot of time doing that. Yeah.
But the same for us is we're either rehearsing or writing songs, or sometimes practicing, or just always kind of continuing to work on your craft. And,
right.
So it's
always trying to get better.
It's a never-ending thing. You're kind of always at work.
I was talking to my buddy, pitcher for the Rockies. He said we were talking about the similarities between both of our jobs. We travel all the time. People think that it's just a big game and it's all fun all the time, which it's not. A lot of work involved, a lot of travel involved, being away from your family. He's like, I think the biggest difference is that you guys win every night.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you've never played Waxahachie on a Tuesday night. I'd say we win every night.
Every night. But our win-loss percentage is probably a little better than the average baseball team.
ever played in like public or before? You played in the office last year.
I played with some groups years ago.
Mac, what kind of music do you like?
I love Neil Young. I love America, that type of stuff. And Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. I love the Rolling Stones growing up, actually.
America, Sister Golden Hair.
So I love Sister Golden Hair. Oh, God. Yeah.
So, do you play any of that?
No.
See, you're out. You're out. Mac's out.
Welcome back to Flying Squirrels Insider. Quick status report as we thank Reckless Kelly on Squirrels Vice President and COO Todd Parnell after his night with the band from Austin. Day to day for Parney. Fortunately, we didn't have to put him on the disabled list. I digress. Back here on set, a couple of very special guests and right-handers from the Flying Squirrels pitching staff, one a starter, one a reliever. We welcome Justin Fitzgerald and Brett Bochy. And first of all, guys, thanks for being here. Really do appreciate it.
No problem, Lace. Excellent.
I want to start with you, Fitz, because, of course, you're a name and a face that a lot of Squirrels fans recognize from last year, an integral part of this pitching staff in 2011. Of course, the big playoff win over Harrisburg, and just one of the top starters overall. And I wanted to get your thoughts on coming back here to the Eastern League. Brett's story, quite a bit different entering this 2012 season, but you come back knowing you are going to be counted on as the really leader for this pitching staff. You start on opening day. How is that different for you this year than last year, even though you were a starter then as well?
Last year was a learning curve, making the jump from A-ball to AA, because it was probably one of the biggest jumps in all of baseball, besides, up to the big leagues. Coming in here knowing that I want to come in and give quality starts from the get-go, have guys look up to me, come in, just, pound the zone and, get ready to pitch every night, every fifth day. So last year was, learning from guys and, looking at what some of the older guys did last year, and now I am that guy. So, I learned a lot last year, and, making, 26, 27 starts in this league, you get a pretty good grasp for it.
Brett Bochy, your story quite a bit different in your career right now. Of course, just your second professional season this year, and you have a recognizable name when it comes to the Giants organization. Your father, Bruce, the manager of the World Series champions in 2010, and of course still the Giants. But you come off a tremendous campaign last year in Augusta. You're asked to skip a level. Of course, everybody knows who you are. You come in really to a pressure situation at the AA level. How did you handle all that coming out of spring training?
Yeah, well, once I heard I was coming to Richmond, I knew it was going to be quite a big jump to skip San Jose. But I really just tried to stay with what I did last year, and that's just attack the strike zone and pitch the same way I did and don't change anything from what I had last year.
I've loved your mentality coming in. You're very open about your relationship with your father, and really from what I've noticed in the clubhouse, it has no impact on your relationship with these guys and certainly hasn't been a hindrance to your performance as we've seen on the hill to this point.
Yeah. All the guys just look at me as a teammate, and I don't want them to look at me any different just because of who my dad is. And because he's just dad to me, he's not a manager or anything. So I'm happy that the teammates have accepted me and not thought anything more of that.
Justin, you come out of big league spring training, and I know that invite meant a lot to you as you've worked your way through the ranks a little more gradually in the Giants system. But when that happens and when you're one of the younger arms in spring training, sometimes you don't get a ton of innings. We saw that, I think, coming out your first couple of starts here where there was maybe a little bit of rust. But how are you feeling now? Your last four starts have all been quality starts.
The last four starts have been, finally getting in my groove and, finding what works. And I think it was just a little extra time in the bullpen to get my arm strength up and, just the touch and feel of everything. But, big league camp was an honor. As a younger guy coming in, you don't get to throw as many innings. A little bit had to do with I had one pretty rough outing in spring training, and that maybe kind of deterred it. But other than that, came back to minor league camp, had just 2 outings, and that was into the opening day start here in Richmond. So, it was kind of just running with it, trying to get my pitch count up as fast as I could. And, I'm hard-headed, and I wanted to go that 100 from the first start out. So, just trying to run with it now and, get that groove and start winning some ball games.
I know I was at this ball game down at Talking Stick when you got into a big league game, and you had a comical moment, actually, that involved his dad coming off the field. Tell us about it, if you wouldn't mind.
Oh, man. It's kind of an embarrassing one. I was, first
That's why we bring it up.
First big league spring training outing, first inning. I was going 2 that day, and I had 2 outs and a guy in first. I had walked the guy with 2 outs, and Brett Pill was playing first. He says, "You know what, Justin, I'm playing back. I'm not going to be holding him on." Well, my nervousness kind of got to me, and I tried to pick over to first, and no one was there, and it's a balk. So he ended up getting to second base, but I got the next guy out. But I come into the dugout, and Bruce just looks at me, "Fitz, what the heck was that?" And I go, sorry, I'm nervous.
Well, it's always the honesty and the candor, I think, that earns you that respect. You come out, of course, again in big league spring training. Now, Brett, back to you. You come here, of course, to Richmond. It wasn't a surprise to anybody that you skipped the level, and I know everyone looked at what you were doing in the spring, and you've just carried that over. But you start the season with 18 consecutive scoreless innings. You always want to have that success, but at what point did that start mounting a little bit, and you go, well, eventually I'm probably going to have to give up a run somewhere along the line, aren't I?
Yeah, it was a great start to the season, and obviously once the streak kept going, I started getting more and more texts from buddies and fans and stuff, and eventually going to give up a run. So I'm not going to think I'm going to go the whole season without giving up a run. But it was a great start to the season, and hopefully I can continue that.
I know these pranksters, Fitz being one of them, have started calling you the robot down in the bullpen, but that's actually a compliment to you because you, of all the pitchers, have been able to command the strike zone, and I know that's probably at the top of your game plan going in. You've been able to pound guys in, and you've been able to throw and command to that strike zone.
Yeah, that's my whole game. I'm not going to overpower everyone here in this league or higher up, so I'm going to have to locate the ball well, and that's my main thing. I have to command all my pitches to be successful here.
Brett Bochy, our guest, along with Flying Squirrels starter and right-hander Justin Fitzgerald. These guys aren't going anywhere. We've got a lot more Flying Squirrels Insider. We're going to kick out these chairs and make this more of a mound feel, and we're going to get into some shenanigans as well that the Squirrels have down in their bullpen. Justin and Brett return with me. Flying Squirrels Insider continues as we return in a moment. Welcome back to Flying Squirrels Insider. Still joined by Justin Fitzgerald and Brett Bochy. We've kicked out the chairs because we want to do a little demonstration. And as we illustrated during that last segment there, Justin, more of an elder statesman on this staff, and the staff ace in the starting rotation, Brett Bochy, a newcomer. And as we take a look at Brett right here, you have to see what the newcomer has to endure out to the bullpen. And Justin, I want you to tell us a little bit about this bag and why you make Bochy carry it. He's a good guy. I just don't see the rationale behind it.
I mean, as a starting pitcher, it's not really my deal, but if I want to sneak down there and have a little candy bar or something, that's what it's for. But usually they carry, baseballs for guys that warm up in the bullpen, snacks, other little intricacies that the bullpen guys might need. And the ringleader Daryl Madej is the one that kind of took a wing under it. He went and bought this special pink and blue backpack with these lovely ladies on the front.
These are Disney princesses. We've been told during the break, thanks to Sarah here on set. Did you know they were Disney princesses, Brett?
I've never heard of the Disney princesses. It's new to me.
I've actually seen you bring this bag out much earlier than you need to. I've seen a lot of guys with other teams, and this is a fairly common ritual for the youngest guy or the most inexperienced guy in the staff, which of course you are, to carry these bags. And usually those guys will cower a little bit down in the dugout, try to get out there, try to place it out there. You wear it with pride, I've noticed. You're out there and just walking around, milling around, signing autographs with the bag. I think you kind of like the bag.
Yeah, it's become a part of me, I think.
Well, we jest, of course, about that, and like I said, it is something that a lot of ball clubs do, particularly at the major league level. But when it all comes down to it, you guys are all trying to help each other get to that big league level, and that's what I wanted you guys to illustrate for fans today. So I'm going to trade you out this bag. I know it's a part of you, but let me have it for just a second. I'm going to give you this baseball because actually, Fitz, although you've been in the game a few more years than Boch has here, he was able to show you something that you've incorporated into your game coming back out for this 2012 season. You guys both now throwing a split finger changeup, and I want you guys to just explain to people what that pitch is, and Boch, what you tweaked in the grip for Justin Fitzgerald that is allowing him to have effect with it now.
Yeah, I found out that Fitz threw about the same changeup that I threw this year, and so I asked him about his grip and how he'd been throwing it, and he had it a little bit different and said he wasn't going to get as much movement as he would have liked. So I showed him the grip that I had, and he liked it a lot, and he's been using it and been successful.
Well, show me that grip, if you wouldn't mind, real quick, how this goes. Because a lot of people know what a split-finger fastball is, and, of course, the straight changeup. And this involved, here comes the split finger here.
You got a regular split on the outside, and then your whole hand's on a changeup, so you got that to guide it.
Ideally, what do you want this pitch to do? I know it's going to dive a little bit with that split-finger action.
You want to get the action of, it's almost like, obviously, modified split change. You don't want that full split action where it's going to dive straight down, but you want that diving action with a little tail to it, too.
And that's the biggest difference for you. I was just chatting with you about it. You said you don't even mess with the changeup anymore, and that was actually one of your more effective pitches in the past.
It was one of the pitches that I had one of the better movements with, but it was one of those ones that was start to start I didn't have. Been pretty consistent, start to start, having this pitch every time out, getting ground balls, and been able to just show right-handers and left-handers and having the confidence to throw it.
For every strikeout you register with the split change, maybe you give Bochy $1? 50 cents.
Every strikeout he records. I think he records more with it than I do.
That's a good point. Well, hey, guys, we're just about out of time, but thanks so much for making the trek up here and being here. We really do appreciate it. Before we let you go, I want to let each of our viewers see how you guys maybe throw that split change differently. Just throw it right at the camera there and don't worry about breaking it. It's all on the house. Our thanks to right-hander Justin Fitzgerald, Squirrels starter, and Squirrels right-hander and closer Brett Bochy for being here. Really glad they could break down the split finger change and also Brett's relationship, an odd one, with the Disney princesses. I'm taking the bag with me, however, because we're out of time on Flying Squirrels Insider. For my broadcast partner, Anthony Oppermann, our show producer, Craig Keaton, and our entire crew, my thanks for joining us on Flying Squirrels Insider. We'll see you again soon.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by Virginia College Savings Plan. Save for tomorrow's higher education expenses with Virginia 529's 4 flexible tax-advantaged college savings plans. Details at virginia529.com. And by the Greater Richmond Chamber Save Low Fares campaign. Richmond is in danger of becoming one of America's most expensive airports again. Flying AirTran, Southwest, and JetBlue supports airline competition. Details at savelowfares.com.